Welcome, everyone, to episode 29 of the Thundercrafts podcast, where we forge through the shitstorm that was WCW Thunder. I am your host, a no-good, rotten, roughneck, modern-day beatnik, Josh Kaiser. And Little Jack Horner called. He wants his cornerback from my co-host, Kyle Hoagland.
You know what? I was so happy to see that Van Hammer still had a job. What's going on, everybody?
How's it going, man? How are you doing today?
I'm doing all right. It's just, it's great when you're gonna have a wonderful Thunder when you get the Hall of Fame lineup of people like Bull Payne and Scott Putski. So we got a lot to talk about today. So I can't wait to dive into this.
We got a lot to talk about. A happy belated birthday to you by the time our listeners listen to this.
Oh, thank you very much.
A little late here, but back in '98, this is you were a little bit younger, not maybe a little wiser back then. But we got Thunder 29, Kyle. It's August 26, 1998, and we got quite the birthday present for you.
I appreciate it. I definitely appreciate it. I feel like this is the gift that keeps on giving, and if we're doing this next year, I can't wait for you to re-gift this for my 35th birthday.
It'll be a good one, but here we are, Thunder 29, Kyle. We're live from Peoria, so it's good to see that we're not in Fargo again. And it's Tony lets us know, it's the end. We're finishing up that wild ride that was the summer. So we're kind of rolling back into fall programming. So maybe they're kind of hitting the reset button. You've got Fall Brawl coming up. We've got Halloween Havoc. We got World War III.
Is that their way of saying that like the last three pay-per-views were just all fun and I mean once again I guess
pretty much
you bring in Karl Malone, you bring in Jay Leno. It was like
summer break. Yeah, it was like summer break for all the storylines. The bullshit's over. We're gonna get serious, and it starts next week because it sure as hell isn't going to be tonight on.
It wasn't this one. No, that's for sure.
So we do have, of course, the usual suspects: Heenan, Shivani, and Mr. Marshall. And they're going to open up here and discuss War Games, Kyle. Of course, Fall Brawl War Games. You got the, two rings inside a steel cage with the convoluted rules. And they're going to let us know that Team WCW, of course, we discussed this a little bit last week, that it was going to be, there's going to be multiple teams. Well, Team WCW has been decided, kind of. We know that it's Diamond Dallas Page. We got Rowdy Roddy Piper and possibly the Ultimate Warrior. Everybody's saying it's the Ultimate Warrior, but we'll find out the official word apparently on Nitro Monday.
Are we supposed to be shocked on Monday? Because at the beginning of the show, they talk about like, oh yeah, it's definitely those three guys. But then later on, it's kind of like one of those things where like you'll find out who the third guy is going to be.
You'll find out who's joining Piper and DDP on Monday.
I'm like, DDP, I got some bad news for you, man. I feel like we've already kind of thrown it out there.
I mean, Lee Marshall said DDP scrolled through his Rolodex and looked up W for Warrior. He lets us know that these three men are all men who Hogan is not defeated, which, Kyle, I know you had a big problem with.
Oh, absolutely. And also, by the way, one thing I can't call out Lee Marshall about is that it is true, Warrior did actually legally change his name to Warrior. So if he did go through his Rolodex for real names, Warrior would be on W.
That's true. That's fair. Definitely, that's a fair point there.
On the other side of that the bullshit spectrum is the fact that Lee Marshall said that this is a very interesting lineup, and it was created because it was three men that Hogan has never beaten in his career, which I'd be totally down to believe if it wasn't for the fact that they had two main event matches with Piper, just one this year and one last year, where Hogan beat him. So I don't. He did beat. Piper beat Hogan the first go around. He beats him to win the title back, and then beats him in I think it's like a triangle tag match, and then I think he beat him again in a bat match. So it's I think at this point, like
bat match from the I believe that was Slamboree, wasn't it?
Something of that nature. But I'm just saying, like there is very recent evidence of that not being true. And Lee Marshall, I'd like to say I expect more from you from that, but at the same time, I'm not going to judge the dead. So we'll just say that he's going to plead ignorance on this and try to pretend that he can pull a fast one on us. Yeah.
That said, we're going to move into our opening bout for the night, Kyle. And if this doesn't give an indication of the matches we're looking forward to today in today's card, We got Wrath, so it's the return of Wrath, of course, Adam Bomb from WWF times, and he'll be wrestling Scott Putski. So
it was looking a lot like if John Morrison and Gangrel had a missing cousin.
He's Scott Putski's kind of like the poor man's Edge, in some ways.
Well, he's got like that ruffled shirt with the Edge jacket,
the puffy shirt, yeah. And Lee Marshall lets us know we got Power on Power. It's like a National Geographic film we're about to watch, Kyle, and
which is ridiculous considering that Wrath is way bigger than Putski. First of all, and I've never really considered Putski like, oh, look at how big he is. I mean, he's all right, but I wouldn't put him in. He's probably like a 6'2", 6'3" ish guy. Probably put him at about 240, 235. I don't think he's anything
not much
that's
bigger than Jericho.
Right. I'll put him. I'll give him about 20 pounds more on Jericho. I'll give him 20, like 245.
Okay. During this match, they're going to let us know that Stevie Ray, of course, we last left Stevie Ray. He was in the middle of the ring during the main event, getting his ass handed to him by about 10 NWO Black and White members. He is now a NWO Black and White member. So,
of course.
Makes no sense, but there we go. They let us know that the formation of the OWN happened on Nitro this week. Of course, that is the One Warrior Nation, a play on the NWO, if you will. And we do
a stable that only has one person in it ever.
Right. And they let us know that we have you'll see plenty of these shirts actually in the front row during this entire card. So we've got that. As far as the match itself, as you can imagine, Wrath is going to win this one pretty easily with the meltdown, which to me looks sloppy. I think he usually does a lot crisper than that. And for that, I gave it star and 3/4.
I gave it 2. And I agree, the meltdown did not look good. I feel like he just turned him a little bit too much, and he kind of had him on his side and didn't know what to do with it, so he just threw him down. But I will say this: Wrath looked really good. It was a good return match. Once again, it's a good, I guess, for us Thunder buddies. It's a good indication of what to look forward to with Wrath. Yeah, it wasn't perfect, but I think with someone like that, making him look good, and once again, if you're going to mess up the finisher, you might as well do it on a show that has no idea what it even looks like. So for anybody knew at that point, that could have been what the finisher looked like. So if you're going to screw it up at the beginning. It's like the Bryan Adams enigma.
Well, and fair enough, and probably commentary team was seconds from calling it the Flatliner because they didn't know what else to call it.
I bet you Lee Marshall was going to say it, and Tony could have put his hand over his face.
After this, the newest member of the Black and White, which, by the way, they didn't need head of recruitment Lex Luger to get new members, but
apparently he's got to beat the shit out of your new recruits.
Right. Stevie Ray's going to come out here, accompanied by his lovely valet now, Vincent, and they're going to be interviewed by Tony Schiavone. And this is where we're going to get our first sign of the night. And I'm just going to tell you guys, let's just say it was very homophobic. And WCW camera zoomed up on it, which I felt like was probably not ideal. You can use your imagination. But Stevie Ray's going to get on there and explain to the commentators and the ingrates why he joined the NWO. And during this, you hear a fan yell, "We want Booker T," very clearly. And he goes, "I don't care what you want, sucker," which made me laugh.
I also like that. And he was like, "I'm going to explain to you," and I think he kind of insulted Mike Tenay, said Bobby Heenan, the fans. Basically, he wanted to explain to everybody but Lee Marshall. I either felt bad, or we could turn that around and say that he knew all along, and so did Stevie Ray. So he doesn't need to explain anything to Lee Marshall. He's in the know.
That is true. If there's one guy that's in the know, it's definitely Lee Marshall. He's going to basically says he doesn't care what happens with Booker T. He's with the NWO now, and his good friend Hollywood Hogan has put a bounty out on DDP, and he's going to take care of him here tonight. He's going to slapjack and yak him. So as long as DDP has the guts to accept his challenge. So, Kyle, it looks like Stevie Ray is going to be in another main event on Thunder for us.
So is this just going to be anytime anybody was either a face or we don't know, like a new addition to the NWO? Is it just by default, it's why would he join this? We'll just say that he was going through some hard times and Eric Bischoff and Hogan helped him. It's like Scott Hall. So
they're just telling you that Bischoff and Hogan have money and they're just they're paying for support is basically what it comes down to. Everyone falls hard times. Uncle Eric and Uncle Hogan, they've got your back.
But it's like, once again, it's all like, when Skull's like, hey, when I was going through my divorce, Nash, you didn't help me. And then this one's like, Steve Red's like, yeah, when I was going through some hard times with my injury, when I was out, my brother wasn't there to back me up or help me out. It was Easy and Hogan. And I'm like, I just want everything comes in threes. There's got to be at least one more guy that joins the white and black that has the exact same
financial reasons. Yeah.
Yep.
After this, Kyle, we get our next match of the night. Mike Enos coming out, so maybe it's a Goldberg squash or something like that, and he'll be wrestling Bull Payne. So
who's already in the ring?
Bull Payne already in the ring. So now I'm watching a Mike Enos squash match, and I have to admit, Bull Payne impressed me a little bit in this match. He did an old school variation, and by that, the Undertaker old school. But instead of climbing the top rope, he climbed the middle rope and then dropped an elbow,
which he missed.
Yeah.
but still, kudos for trying.
Yeah, it was something different. I've never seen the old school on a middle rope like that. So
kudos. And it's not like he botched it. Just Enos got out of the way.
Right. There's a nice suplex to Bull Payne on the outside. Bull Payne is going to do the vintage Ric Flair as he climbs to the top rope and waits for Mike Enos to do the big slam for pick him up and slam him from the top rope. And then Enos is going to do a fall-away slam off the top rope, which looked pretty good. Hey, that's how he's going to win the match. I'm going to give it 2 stars. I thought, unlike the first squash match, I thought Enos' squash match was much better, and he came out looking better than Wrath did in the first match. But that said, with these 2 matches back-to-back, I'm kind of nervous how the rest of the show is going to be.
See, here's the thing. I also give it 2 stars. I gave it the same rating as the first match. I guess I can say, yeah, Mike Enos looked good, but it felt artificial. Once again, I didn't give a shit about either of the guys that really are in the match, but they gave us a decent match, so you got to give them credit for that. Some okay offense on both sides. I don't think, once again, like I said, I think like you already mentioned, Bull Payne. As much as we know about Bull Payne, he shows up when the bell rings. So, but you could tell the crowd was not that invested in who was in the ring either. And Mike Enos oftentimes had to try to get himself over with the crowd. And you can totally tell that when he was trying to do his fall-away slam. He had him set up for the fall-away slam, and it looked like he was for 40 seconds, it felt like anyways. He was trying to get any sort of just pop from the crowd before he did his move.
He was trying to work the crowd a lot. I agree with you there.
But once again, it was because it didn't feel organic. I feel like with Wrath, I think when Wrath was doing moves, first of all, I think Wrath, if people kind of recognize what he looks like, I think some people are like, oh, wow, that's Adam Bomb. That's cool. Not saying Adam Bomb was like a groundbreaking wrestler in WWF, but he had a cool shtick there. But I feel like people just popped for Wrath for just being Wrath and also just for what he was doing in the ring. Whereas Mike Enos was like, there was just no pleasing Peoria, Illinois if you're Mike Enos, and he tried everything he could. I give him props, but it didn't feel organic.
Fair enough. What else didn't feel organic was our next sign of the night, Kyle. It said, "Hey, Wolfpack, X-Pac says suck it." So some trash talking from the Peoria fans living vicariously through X-Pac, apparently. After this, we're going to get our WCW Saturday Night promo, and they're going to let us know that the TV champ Jericho will be wrestling. Stevie Ray, Ming, Conan, and Lee Marshall is going to interview Ming on the special 2-hour edition of WCW Saturday Night.
To the displeasure of Lee Marshall.
That's right. After this, we're going to get the Cat, Ernest the Cat Miller, wrestling Disco Inferno. Disco, of course, going to come out and say, obviously, you all came here just to see me dance. The Cat's going to cut him off and then proceed to kick him in the back of the head while Disco is kind of taking off his jacket. And then he's going to kick him in the chest and pin him for a 3 count. So we now have our third squash of the match, or squash of the night, and actually our quickest squash, and it's Ernest the Cat Miller over Disco Inferno. You didn't rate this, or you rated it a dud. I gave it a 1.5. What the hell did we just see?
What we basically saw was, I think, the Cat's emergence as being more than just a guy who just kicks around and does moves and has regular matches. I think, once again, you and I and I'm scared to death because we talked about this with Conan. We speak of these guys fondly when we remember them when we were 14 years old or 13 years old. I saw this because he's gonna. I don't mean to go too far forward. He does cut a promo, which is not a good one. I think he calls himself a wrestle, which was close to being called a wrestler. And he kind of just tries to make it feel like, he needs to get more respect. He's a world karate champion.
3-time karate champion. And he says he's the real deal. I'm the greatest. And once I realized we're getting the I'm the greatest version of the Cat, I bumped my 1.5 to a 5-star rating because I cannot wait for heel Cat to come out of this.
But I'm scared. So am I. But I'm scared because, once again, I don't want this to feel like Conan again, and we're going to watch this and be like, why did we like this?
This guy's terrible.
This is like, first of all, when I saw him with the mic, I'm like, oh, dude, yes, he's going to cut a promo. And then I heard the promo, and I'm like, not your best stuff, dude, but
still early.
Yeah, still early. Hopefully, yeah. I'm reserving judgment, but I'm just saying we already had a couple of, I guess, bubbles bursted in front of us. I'm going to feel really terrible if one of them is also Ernest the Cat Miller. The heel, the Cat Miller.
Right. And speaking of your other boy, Conan, he's in the next match of the night, Kyle, and it's Conan versus Silver King, as this card couldn't get any better as we move match to match. Conan, of course, is going to do his Conan spiel before the match starts, and this is where we get our third sign of the night. It says, Shelly dash the real big sexy. So I hope that was a good pickup line, and Shelly is happily married to this gentleman that held up that sign.
Shelly's kind of a gender-neutral name. Shelly could have been a guy, too.
It could have been. That's fair. That is fair enough. Conan, Kyle, you and I both commented on it. He's going to do a head scissor takedown, and it might be the most active and fluid move Conan has done in all of the 29 episodes of Thunder that we've watched here in 98.
And don't get me wrong, it didn't look fantastic, but I mean, he did a head scissors, all right? Like, I'm not nitpicking head scissors takedowns by Conan, so well done trying to do the move. And I almost thought to myself, oh, he's going to fight Silver King. I wonder if Conan, because we know that they've got, we know they've got some history. At least they've wrestled in the past. They both wrestled in Mexico. I'm sure they've been down the road together before. So, and maybe that's why he did it. He's like, oh, I've been to these matches.
More comfortable with them or something.
Yeah, sure. I might have put on 5,000 pounds, but maybe I can still do a head scissors with this guy. So, kudos for trying.
Are these the two fattest luchadors?
No, I think El Dandy's up there. I think Villano's up there. Silver King's not fat, all right? He is dad bod.
Well, okay. Fair enough. In the match, Lee Marshall's going to give us a Spanish lesson, as he's going to try to teach us some Spanish words. And this is going to lead to Heenan basically asking everyone for their taco orders. And Silver King, though, he's going to get the crowd fired up as he tells them to suck it, which is a great way to bring product over from the WWF crowd.
I like that the crowd responded. I feel like 3 years ago, if he did that, everyone would be like, whatever, we don't know what he's doing. But right. Then you do the crotch chop in 98, everyone's going to know what that is.
Yep. The crowd, though, really behind Conan. He is over. That's, we could say that about him. He's going to win with the Tequila Sunrise. I gave the match 2 stars. I thought it went on slightly longer than it should have. It almost was like they reached apex, and then we're like, well, we got a little more time to fill, and kind of like back down, and it just kind of lost a little momentum for me there at the end. But overall, it was a fine match. So 2 stars.
I gave it 2.5, and I think I rated this high for 2 reasons. One, I mean, the match was good. Like, there was no real botches. Nobody felt for the fact that we've already said that these guys don't look like, chiseled Adonises. They didn't feel blown up at, towards the end of the match. I think they had good pace. The crowd finally, after 3 matches, woke up and was really into this match because it's actually someone that they know. So I think that's.
Well, I mean, in fairness to Peoria, look at what they've had to deal with so far tonight.
No, I'm sure. Like, I'm not giving
Scott Putski, Stevie Ray, Mike Enos, Bull Payne, The Cat, Disco Inferno, Silver King, and Conan. Until Conan was there, everyone I read off to you, I wouldn't be surprised if the average Nitro watcher doesn't even know most of these people.
No, and I definitely agree, but I think because the way everything is shuffled, and we've already given these other matches somewhere in the 2-star-ish kind of range. So the fact that the match was good and the crowd was all over it, once again, I think Eric Bischoff has said a lot in his podcast with Conrad is that he looks at stars like, how did the crowd enjoy this match? How did the crowd react to this match? So to me, I think that constitutes a half a star extra.
Fair enough. I won't disagree with that. After the match, out comes the NWO team. It's Rick Rude, Kurt Hennig, Vincent, Brian Adams, Stevie Ray, Scott Norton. Rude's going to cut a promo and says, we're not going to all attack you. You can pick which one of us you want to fight. Conan instead responds and says, I'll take you all on. And as they all come running into the ring, he escapes out the front of the ring. So a little trickery there from the K-Dog. And that's kind of your segment there. We move into Tony Schiavone in the ring. And whenever it seems like he's in the ring for an interview, it's always with DDP. So out comes Paige, and this is when we get our fourth sign of the night. And it's going to say, NWO Black and White are all limp-wristed joy boys. So I feel like that was a diss, but I'm not sure.
I mean, that sounds homophobic. But I don't remember, like, if I went on Twitter right now and called someone a bunch of limp-wristed joy boys, I'm pretty sure I'd get me too'd. So I feel like maybe 98 you got away with it in Peoria, Illinois. Not in today's PC world. Nope.
Right. DDP is going to get on the microphone and say that Eric Bischoff was wrong about who can get into WCW because Bischoff said that they have to go through him. But apparently the Warrior was basically signed into WCW without him. This is also where they let us know that the Warrior is not officially official in this as the third man of Team DDP. But DDP is going to make a comment that said Bischoff had no problem with Karl Malone coming in and wrestling with him or Jay Leno. But the fact that Hollywood scum Hogan has a problem with the Warrior, that's why all of a sudden Bischoff has a problem with DDP bringing in another person. And then he's going to pivot and talk about his main event tonight with Stevie Ray, of course, accepting the challenge. And he says, Slapjack, yeah, that's possible, but are you going to yak me? I don't think so. And I think at one point DDP also says, I'm here in Peoria, because he likes calling out the city to get a cheap pop. And then tells Stevie Ray that you make me want to make you feel the bang. So a little convoluted there, but that's your DDP segment of the day. And then we're also going to get our fifth sign of the night, and it says Stevie Ray can't handle the bang, which was totally impressive for me because how did they know that? Did the fan made a sign for the main event? Did he bring like a blank poster board with a marker and write it up as soon as that was announced? Did they? I feel like they might have had.
Yeah, they might have advertised ahead of time.
And they broke. Either way, kudos for them for making a very relevant sign that made it on television.
Yep, well done.
So after this, we'll get a little commentary. It's kind of halftime, I think, where you get that commentary discussion. They're going to discuss, of course, DDP and Stevie Ray. And then, of course, is the NWO going to get involved now that Stevie Ray is a Black and White member? And then, Kyle, we're going to move into our next match of the night, and the stars just keep coming out as Evan Courageous is going to be wrestling Kaz Hayashi. Tenay, of course, coming out on the commentary team at this point, gives us all the stats of Kaz Hayashi, where he came from, who he trained with, where he's wrestled, what he used to do, and Heenan's going to then ask who his aunt was and what his current zip code is, which made me laugh. Evan Courageous landed some of the worst punches I've ever seen in this match.
I mean, they're not Jim Duggan punches, but they're not good.
No, they're not good. Sonny Ono is going to make an appearance, Kyle, and apparently because he's Japanese, he's going to be scouting the other Japanese man who's in this match. They catch him on the camera saying that he's got a lot of potential to go to the top as long as he's got a proper manager, which I believe you make a comment that Sonny Ono is not a proper manager.
No, I think television champion Yuji Nagata is about as far as he ever went, and everybody was the television champion. I think. Wasn't oh God, why can't I think of his name now? The Sergeant Slaughter version of what we in WCW that he was looking for a manager.
Cobra or whatever.
No. His arch nemesis.
His arch nemesis. I can't picture the guy. I can't think of the guy's name now. That's going to drive me nuts.
We'll get back to it. But even he won the TV title, I believe. So I mean, at this point, I'm not. If Sonny Ono's claim to fame is that one of his guys won a belt that was once held by that guy, which I'll remember his name in a moment. Sonny Ono doesn't have a great resume.
It's funny. So I went to his Wikipedia page to see what they might have here, and they talk about his time in WCW. So he was a manager from 94 to 99, and his championships and accomplishments, Wrestling Observer newsletter, of course, a widely known and respected newsletter. He was rated the worst manager from 1996 to 1999. So 3 of the 5 years he was a manager, he was the worst. So good for him. And
Sergeant Craig Pittman, by the way.
Craig Pittman, there we go. I knew it started with a C. On April 28th of last year, 2018, Sonny Ono was given a spot in the VCW Hall of Fame, but he later declined the induction because of choosing sides with companies, and they later revoked his Hall of Fame inclusion for the time being. So he can't even get into some Hall of Fame of some sort. So, not a impressive resume for Mr. Ono. But in this match, him and Kaz Hayashi are going to speak Japanese back and forth to each other. I don't know what they're planning, maybe making plans for the future. Kaz Hayashi is going to do like a sidewalk slam and then flip after it, which seemed totally unnecessary to me. He's going to end up winning this match with like a top rope back senton. I gave this match a 3.75 stars. I didn't like it at all. I thought it was sloppy, and I thought Kaz Hayashi was trying way too hard in this match.
Yeah, I think this is a very, very good example of two guys that didn't have any chemistry. You could tell they probably never wrestled with each other before. And once again, I mean, Evan Courageous, I think it's just almost at this point right out of the power plant. So I guess I can't really judge him too much. But for a guy that Tenay was just give him the old reach around the whole time about how great he is. I gave it a 1.75 stars. I felt there were too many power moves in this match. I felt both of them were wrestling like they thought they looked something different than they actually are. They actually look. Like for example, like I think Evan Courageous did like a power slam to Kaz Hayashi, and it just doesn't look powerful when it's done by someone that's not like a big, strong guy. So when Evan Courageous does it, it just you're not going to get a pop from the crowd. No one's going to be like, "Whoa, look at the impact!" It's just it's like a 210-pound guy, power slamming a $190 guy. It's not going to be that big of a deal. There should have been a lot more pace to this match. It was very, very slow, very bland, plain and simple. So once again, Sonny Ono is not interesting of a manager, since he's basically had no one under his tutelage he's actually done anything for. So the idea of him like, I'll bring him to the top really isn't going to sell anything for me. Yeah,
no, I agree. So if the matches haven't excited you yet, guys, the next one is definitely going to do it. Saturn's going to come out, so all right, good, Kyle. We finally got a guy who's been able to wrestle. This should be a good match. And as he's coming out, he's interrupted by Lodi. Lodi's going to be on the microphone. He blames Saturn again for breaking his fingers, which, of course, the commentary team reminds us that it was, in fact, Raven who did it. And then Lodi's going to lay down the gauntlet. He's challenging Saturn tonight for a match, and he says they're going to be Raven's rules in this match, which, of course, means there's no disqualification. Saturn basically says, I don't got time to waste my time wrestling you. And then that's when Lodi's going to say, what, are you scared? And, man, everybody in the crowd went, ooh. So they were really into that big dig there. Lodi's going to say, if Saturn beats me tonight, if you accept this challenge and beat me tonight, then I will leave the flock. Which, correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't that already a stipulation of the Saturn-Raven match at Fall Brawl?
I mean, I guess the way it would work is this, it's a stipulation, but Lodi leaves the flock, but then if Raven wins, Lodi's still out of the flock?
Right. Yeah, it's interesting. But then Lodi, of course, says, but if I beat you, you'll be my slave and servant until Fall Brawl. So that's the challenge. Saturn's going to accept it, and almost instantly out comes Riggs and Sick Boy. So you see the Ravens rules. It's going to be the flock trying to gang up on Saturn, but he's dispatching these guys as though they're nothing. He's going to do a Death Valley driver to Lodi. However, Sick Boy is totally interfering with the referee, distracting him. This leads to Raven to come out, but Raven's about to take a Death Valley driver, so it looks like Saturn's just taking care of business. Out comes Canyon, and he's going to hit the flatliner, Kyle, on Saturn. What? What is happening here? Lodi's going to get the 3 count. Saturn is his servant. Canyon has turned heel. I guess he's with the flock. He's with Raven. Let's not rate this match because it really wasn't a match. What do you think about this whole Canyon turning against Saturn? I mean, they didn't really get along, but now he's kind of with Raven. What's happening here?
There's no real explanation to it. There was a discussion, I think maybe either last pay-per-view or the pay-per-view before that. I think it was Road Wild, where Raven was kind of cluing that, oh, hey, you guys haven't seen Canyon lately. That's because he's with me now, and he's part of the flock, or he's my buddy now. But then they fought each other at Fall Brawl, or not Fall. God damn, I can't say this. Road Wild, as if that wasn't true. Then there was no real, as far as I can tell. Once again, we don't watch Nitro, so there's no recap of explanation. The commentators didn't explain it. So when you just see him coming in, they're not just like, oh, I guess that confirms the fact of what we saw on Nitro, and because of blah 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 blah. We don't. Everybody was just as confused, and I would actually err more on the side of this wasn't told well enough for anybody to explain it when it happened anyways.
Yeah, it really wasn't. But I guess we'll have to wait and see what happens with this whole saga here. If he is in fact with Raven, or if he's just doing something against Saturn. That said, it got a lot of heat here. They were not happy with Canyon. They're not happy with the flock. So kudos to them. I think this was easily the hottest segment of the show. Again, with everything we've talked about with this show, that's not saying a whole lot, but I will say the crowd was hot and heavy against the flock here.
Do you think this belonged on Nitro? This
Depending
reveal?
on what happened, if this is the first time Canyon turned, yeah, I think this is more suited for Nitro, but I'm glad we got something on Thunder.
Right, I agree. But I'm just thinking long term here. If they're trying to bring the story to a crescendo and ultimately to an end here, you want to put on your flagship show, or at the very least sow the seeds a bit. That's I think what Thunder is. I think Thunder should be sow the seeds and then really drive the narrative on Nitro.
Hey, you know what? We had a title change a couple weeks ago with Luger and Hart. Now we've got a heel turn from Canyon. Things are getting hot on Thunder.
But was it really a title change if the fact that he lost it on Nitro and just won it back on Thunder?
A title change, it's title change. Right.
Yeah, I'll give it to you.
R.I.P. Jack Brickhouse. We found out he passed away, and apparently he was friends with both Heenan and Tony, despite the fact that they're both schmucks, apparently.
Well, I think the explanation was, I think Brain told Tony, he's like, oh yeah, I was very good friends with Jack Brickhouse. He really liked me, and Tony's like, well, even Tony was able to accept and embrace your flaws, and he's like, he told me he liked you too.
Yeah, it was pretty good. After this, we're gonna get Scott Flash Norton with Vincent wrestling Jim the Anvil Neidhart, Kyle. So the match is just 5 stars from top to bottom on this card.
Are they still calling Scott Norton Flash at this point, or is that kind of gone away?
They still do. And that's why I said it, because it's so weird that they still call him Flash Norton from time to time, because it shouldn't be his name at all these days, but they do it. Vincent, of course, is going to try to interfere, but Jim the Anvil Neidhart's going to dispatch him pretty quickly. And that's going to be about all that Neidhart's going to be able to do in this match. He tries a middle rope clothesline and some punches. Scott Norton's going to no-sell all of that, and then eventually squash Neidhart in this match with his power bomb. I gave it a star and 3/4. It should probably be a 2-star squash match, but I don't know. It's something about seeing Jim Neidhart totally in a one-sided match where he couldn't get anything in just seemed out of place to me. It was strange.
And you know what? Maybe it would be that way if maybe we got to see a little bit more of Scott Norton maybe on Nitro, because I think this is what Scott Norton has been doing. Like I've been kind of joking about the arrive, powerbomb, pin, leave. Which obviously this was a little bit longer of a match than I think Norton has been doing on TV the past couple, I would say maybe month, ever since he's returned. I gave it 2 stars. I actually liked the story this was telling with Jim Neidhart for that exact reason. The match itself was not anything to write home to from a technical standpoint. But this, I think, really catapulted Norton as, like I said, he's been kind of laying waste to anyone and everyone as far as what we've seen. And the reason why is because like maybe you had to pick, and we've been judging this before about like Stevie Ray going over on Eddie, and we really didn't like that. I think we kind of had our maybe agree to disagree, but I guess Dean Malenko jobbing to Bryan Adams last week. But Jim Neidhart is an established veteran. He's got an acumen, and that would think that he would at least put up a fight. He might lose, but you would think he'd put up a fight. They both feel like the same kind of wrestler, kind of, big, tough guys that look like they're both impervious to pain. But Norton had this match from bell to bell. Like there was really nothing that Neidhart could do. I've never seen Jim squash this way in a match, and I think it actually told a pretty good story.
All right, fair enough. We're going to get our 6th sign of the night after this match. It's going to say Democrats fear the 98 election, RNC. I just want to let you know that the Republicans do have the Senate, but overall there was no change in the primaries. The Republicans also had Congress at this point, but they lost 5 seats, and the governor actually stayed the same, but the Republicans lost 1 to an independent. So Democrats may have feared the 98 election. Republicans may have owned overall, but they actually lost the primaries as far as seats changing. So little riveting
stuff there, guy.
Hey, you know what? On a show that has featured all these people, that's what I'm going to give you. All right, that's what you're going to get. Save us Y2J because he's going to be defending his television title in the next match against Alex Wright. So finally, Kyle, we get Jericho in a match. So he always puts on a good match, and Alex Wright is kind of underrated. So this has potential to be something great. During the match, someone's going to throw a drink into the ring, which Jericho's going to pick up and actually drink.
Awesome and gross.
Yeah, it was cool and it was kind of funny, but then you think about it, you're like, that could have been terrible. I don't know.
That could have been battery acid for all I knew.
Right. It was kind of funny. Both of them were pulling each other's hair, and because they're both heels, they were both bitching about pulling the other's hair. Alex Wright almost pulls I'm going to lead the match and not wrestle, which is a weird thing for the non-champion to do in the match. But he does it. At some point, we learn what the European uppercut is, and by that I mean nobody knows why it's called the European uppercut. I think Heenan actually calls out, or Heenan starts it, doesn't he? Doesn't he ask Tenay, why do they call it the European uppercut? And then Shivani says, I don't know, and nobody seems to know or want to respond to it. This match went on for a while. And they're going to mention to us that Chris Jericho wrestled, of course, the television title, Kyle, is a 10-minute time limit. So they mentioned he wrestled to the time limit on Monday, and they keep mentioning that, and I go, oh, God, this match is going on for a while, so this is going to end in a time limit draw. There's a lot of back and forth, a lot of, kind of sleeper holds and different submissions. And then ultimately, Alex Wright's going to do a sunset flip off the top, and it's going to get reversed into a line tamer. He's going to tap out, which shocked me. I gave this match 2.25 stars, easily the best match of the night. They gave it a lot of time. It wasn't the time limit draw that I thought was going to happen, but I don't think I was as entertained as I expected to be with these two in this match.
I'll give you that. I think this is also grading on a curve because of everything else we've seen, and I think I've already given a 2.5 somewhere earlier in the show. I gave this 2 3/4, definitely match of the night. They gave this match a lot of time. I think when I counted it, it was about just shy of 10 minutes, which usually I've always understood that WCW they usually announce. Like when you're you have 1 minute to go, 2 minutes to go in like a time limit match.
I think they only do that when it's actually
when it's going to happen.
Yes, right.
But I liked it. I was very interested in the match the whole time. No, it wasn't 10 minutes of like, holy shit, like, not a lot of crazy offense. I think both of them kind of just went back and forth with like methodical heel offense. I think that's the thing. Neither guy really had like what you would call like the face in peril, the comeback, the Hulk up, that type of thing. It just all of them both. It really did feel like two heels wrestling. I was afraid that Jericho was going to just stall this match out to the time limit draw because they kept talking about it. But I actually was pleasantly surprised he just went over on Alex. Maybe if he didn't do that, it would just push the whole, Jericho's a heel and he's just playing the rules, the legal eagle of that's Jericho. So I was fine either way if that were to happen. But I'm glad they gave these two guys a match to really explore the ring with each other. So I was okay with it. It definitely wasn't a cruiserweight type of match, but both of these guys are definitely capable in the ring.
Yeah. After the match, Kurt Hennig is going to be wrestling with, of course, accompanied to the ring by Rick Rude. When he came out, he was coming out to some music, which wasn't the NWO music, and at some point somebody realized that and then played the NWO music. That was kind of strange.
It was Kurt Hennig's original WCW music.
Was it?
Yes. The only reason why I looked at it, I'm like, they played that for a long-ass time. And then I just went to YouTube and typed Kurt Hennig WCW. And after sifting through 3 pages of just the NWO music, I finally found Kurt Hennig like when he was going to join the Horsemen. That music, and it was the exact same. So, they definitely played his face music and then transitioned awkwardly to the white and black.
Yeah. He'll be wrestling Van Hammer, like I said. So Van Hammer is going to come out. This is when he makes his little Jack Horner comment, which is weird for him to get involved with Raven, being that he hasn't been in the flock for a while or involved with them at all, but he's calling out Raven. So here we go again, Kyle. Raven involved in 1,000 different storylines. As for the match, he's going to dominate the early part of this match until Rick Rude and Hennig have a little discussion on the outside. This is where Rude's going to say, "I'll distract him." And that's all it takes, is a little distraction. And then Kurt's going to take over at this point. And out of nowhere, you get the Hennigplex for the win. I gave it 2.25 stars. I thought it was a quick match, and I thought it was solid. And I'm happy to see Hennig continuing to win clean. And I say clean loosely because, it's heel, and there was some distraction and stuff from Hennig, or from Rude. But overall, a clean win for Kurt here.
Yeah, I'll go with that. I gave this 2 stars. Not a bad match, but it's about as interesting as they could probably make it with two guys that really have no beef with each other. Hennig still looks a little slow, like he's still recovering from his knee injury, though. He masks it pretty well, though. He still puts on a decent match, but he definitely doesn't look as nimble, and I don't think that's age. I think I've seen him wrestle better matches later in his career. So I don't know whether or not he was just kind of dialing it in because it's Thunder, or, he's still not maybe 100%, and he's got to, you kind of got to get that ring rust. He's got to stay active in the ring in order to, make sure he gets all of his motions in after, being sidelined with a knee injury. But we had really no stakes one way or other who was going to win this match. But I mean, for sure, I don't think anybody wants Van Hammer to win.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, Van Hammer. At one point they brought Van Hammer in thinking he was going to be the next Hogan.
Yeah, and then they brought in Horace Hogan to think maybe he'll be the next Hogan.
Then, Kyle, the pyros are going off. We're going to our main event. If the matches hadn't been good to begin with or throughout the night, we're going to be saved because we get Stevie Ray in our main event. Kyle covers accompanied to the ring by Vincent, and he's going to be wrestling Diamond Dallas Page in the DDP bounty match, if you will. This is where we're going to see our 7th sign of the night, and it says Goldberg, make him say ugh.
I think it's make him say because I think this was during like the Master P, make probably. Him say na 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 na. So
he said ugh, UGH.
Well, they don't know how to spell woo. All right, so let it go.
I had to laugh that both DDP and Stevie Ray were both wearing the blue leather pants in this match.
It looked like Stevie Ray's took Karl Malone's pants.
Right, and just put flames on them. At one point during the match, you hear DDP audibly say, "I'm going to duck the clothesline here," it's always great when you can hear the spots called. The fans, though, here at Peoria. Huge DDP fans, huge loud DDP chants in this match. Those are going to continue on during the bear hugs spot during the match, which I know you had to have loved, Kyle.
I couldn't find anything to throw when I watched this show.
Stevie Ray is going to get ready to apply the slapjack, but it's going to get reversed into a spot where he almost gets basically dropped on his head. DDP is then going to hit his swinging neck breaker, which I thought was going to be the diamond cutter. But then he's going to call for the diamond cutter. That brings Vincent in. Vincent's going to take the diamond cutter. That's going to get that's going to get Stevie Ray disqualified. That's your match. I gave it 2 stars. I actually thought it was kind of solid for the two of them until the interference at the end.
Yeah, I mean, I guess. Maybe it's about as good as those guys could probably do together at this point. I gave it 1 3/4. Stevie Ray is not the most fluid guy in the ring, and I just don't think he and DDP had a very good chemistry in the ring. And what I mean by that is that when you have somebody who has very limited motion, kind of a stiff big guy, going up against a guy like DDP, who's probably one of the most unorthodox wrestlers I've remembered in my life. So it's already a really volatile concoction of two guys that I think DDP could have a good match with Stevie Ray. I think Stevie Ray needs a cookie cutter wrestler to make himself look good. DDP is going to go off on his own tangent because that's DDP and that's what people want to see. I just think that chaos, that lunatic fringe type of offense is not good for a guy like Stevie Ray. But once again, the match was okay. I was not thinking either guy was going to go over on the other. If I was to be totally honest, I was kind of expecting Vincent to do something. So not shocked by the ending.
DDP is main eventing War Games. He's leading Team WCW. You didn't think he had a shot to
no,
win
because
here?
because Stevie Ray is the newest member.
Is in the middle of the push. I get that, and they're not gonna
bad timing. If we're zooming out, of course DDP should go over. But if you're zooming in on the last 2 weeks, it does DDP no favors to go over. He's already over, and all it does is just delegitimizes what Stevie Ray's trying to do. So it makes more sense to end it the way Vincent's always going to be the reset button.
Yes, no, that's fair. The Giant's going to come out after this match. He's going to get into the ring. Trash is going to be thrown into the ring. Conan, of course, is going to come out to get some more spotlight and TV time. That's your show. That's your Thunder, Kyle. What did you think about this one?
Very middling to disappointing Thunder with a rather lack of star power. I think we had only one champion on the show, unless you count the Giant showing up for 30 seconds at the end as being one half of the tag champions, which, by the way, if people don't remember, he's one half of the tag champions at this point. No Hogan, Nash, Sting, Luger, Bischoff, Warrior, Hart, Hall, and still a lot of people on the shelf with injuries to Savage, Benoit, Booker T. So, a lot of the B and C and even D class has to come in here and kind of take care of things. No exciting match that we usually are used to, like maybe like a cruiserweight. Our cruiserweight match was literally Conan versus Silver King. All right. That said, the majority of the matches were decent. They were around that 2-star caliber from beginning to end. So, I don't think there was a match I think you and I just shit on. I did call the dud match on the Cat, but not because I thought it was bad. I just felt it was a non-match. But at least one of them furthered a storyline, which was I gave a dud to the Flock match. Because once again, that did tell a story, and I was okay with it. And the other one was giving the reins to the Cat to see if he can sink or swim. For the most part, though, the show comes down to the fact that this show it might as well not existed, and I think nothing would have been missed. Nothing was progressed minus Canyon siding with Raven, which is kind of rather on the do I really give a hot shit about that meter, and basically no Nitro recap. I think we've been talking about that for the past couple of weeks, where we are really, really left in the dark. Thunder is slowly starting to feel like Saturday Night, except Saturday Night does a better job recapping. So overall, matches were okay. The substance of the show was poor.
I think for the most part, I kind of said the same thing you did. I put it at average to below average Thunder, and I'm actually probably leaning more towards below average. Other than the Canyon story, really nothing happened to progress any major storylines. I mean, you listed all the people that weren't here, Kyle. Let me list again who was here tonight. It was Wrath. It was Scott Putski, Mike Enos, Bull Payne, The Cat, Disco Inferno, Silver King, Conan, Evan Courageous, Kaz Hayashi, Lodi, Saturn, Scott Norton, Neidhart, Jericho, Alex Wright, Henning, Van Hammer, and then Stevie Ray and DDP. Whew. That is not a good list of stars to be wrestling, with the exception of a couple. Don't get me wrong, there was a few in there. This is when you sign up to do a podcast about Thunder like we did. You worry that you're going to get some nights that are going to be like tonight, and you only hope that these are kind of the one-off nights, and that more often than not, you're not going to have nights where Bull Payne is one of the stars of the show, right? So, well,
I think you also kind of hope that nights like this, we hope that there's something to make fun of.
Yes,
and
right.
Really, this match, this show just felt like a wrestling show. It wasn't entertaining. It didn't feel like a TV show. It felt like a wrestling show.
Right. It was just wrestlers you didn't care about wrestling fine. And if it's wrestlers I don't care about, I want them to have their pants fall off, or slip on the mat, or
everybody gets Tongan death grips.
Right. Something. Give us something. So that's the unfortunate part. It was just an overall kind of blah show. I felt nothing. I felt nothing for the show. Well, hopefully that changes next week as we go to our 30th episode, Kyle, of Thundercraps. It's September 3rd, 1998. We're hitting that fall season. The storylines are going to start to matter again. So let's see if Thunder matters. And if you haven't subscribed or liked or left us reviews or anything like that, please do it. On whatever your podcast listening device is. It really helps us out. Go give us a follow on Twitter at Thundercraps. We like to interact with the fans. I think we actually posted a few gifs this week of some of our animated referees from this card, including Nick Patrick feeling the power of God inside of him.
And also Mark Curtis shadowboxing.
And then, of course, you always go to thundercraps.com for all of our previous episodes. For Kyle Hogan, I am Josh Kaiser, and we will see you next time on the Thundercraps podcast.
We are slapjack and yackingly out of time. See ya.